Please welcome Splunk Senior Vice President and General Manager Platform, Mangesh Pimpalkhare.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to be back on stage, and I actually feel I am back to the future. Why is that? Because we are living, working, and innovating in the AI era every single moment right now. We are already in the future. Now, in one short year, the AI revolution has completely changed the game of data management. And in the keynote before, in case you saw it, you heard that the data complexity and growth continues to go only in one direction, which is up. And with AI, this is only getting more complex. You're seeing data silos, you're continue to see exponential data growth. And we have new unknowns with what resilience even means with new agentic operations. Now, talking of agents, here's a mind-boggling stat. We're speaking to analysts, they estimate 1.3 billion agents to be in operation by 2028. Now, that's going to completely change business as well as society. And we are going to have to rethink resilience, put new guardrails, but in the enterprise context, we are also going to have to completely reimagine what operations means, how we run AI-first operations. Now, think about this. On the one hand, we have a tremendous challenge of managing this sprawl of machine data. But this is also a great opportunity, right? If we can learn to harness the machine data, and especially as you heard in the keynote before, if we can connect it with other contexts, with business data, with other human-driven knowledge, then we can actually harness AI to drive unprecedented insights. Now, machine data has actually been the heartbeat of all your enterprise operations. And machine data also drives more than 55% of the growth of enterprise data globally. Now, how is this going to change with AI? Well, it will change in a very, very big way. AI is going to be a major driver of machine data complexity because of the 1 billion agents we talked about. But also, not just the agents. It's going to become more complex because of all the data-intensive infrastructure that all the enterprises are building out. Now, the way to solve that, as you've heard before, is ultimately to harness machine data as the fuel for building AI foundational model and AI-first solutions. And we can truly unlock that potential if we go to the heart of the problem and address the data management. Now, today, this is the world that your teams are operating in. Now, what is this picture? Well, it makes me think of a really dark world where there's a data wasteland, and each team is entrenched in their silos. And most of your time is being spent on kind of managing the data and trying to control costs, stay in your own domain, and that's not working well. So it's time for us to reimagine a completely new solution, and the answer has been obvious. It's really to use AI to keep up with AI. And you've heard us say this before, even before the wave of AI, that ultimately detecting problems, investigating, and responding all goes to the heart of being data problems. If we want AI to help us with solving this problem, then we need to light up that machine GPT vision that you've heard a couple of times now from G2 and from Kamal's keynote. And here's the good news. Who else is there better suited to bring this vision to life than Splunk? We have been, thanks to all of you, been living in the machine data world for a long, long time. So picture this, if we solve this together and solve this right, then the new operational world can look a whole lot different. This is a world where all your operations teams, not just security ops and IT ops, but in fact network operations, DevOps, all your operations teams really start working seamlessly as one team with one shared data context. And in this world, those data silos disappear. And they start getting really efficient. They don't waste their time managing data. In fact, they spend all their time, all of you will spend time driving business outcomes for your companies. Now, we do need this new world approach It almost requires a new planetary scale thinking, so to speak. But to do that, we need to break through the maze of complexity with an AI-first approach. And for AI, we need to completely change how we manage machine data. Now, all this is my perspective, but let's hear from our customer, Regeneron. We are going to have them up on stage and share their perspective.
Welcome Splunk Vice President Product Management, Seth Brickman, Global Head Cybersecurity Monitoring, Regeneron, Keith Hymick, and Global Head Cybersecurity Operations, Regeneron, Chris Wyndham.
Good morning, Splunkers. I am so excited for you to be able to hear directly from a customer. I know all of you are well aware that we are outstanding as a company at logs and traces and metrics. But have you ever thought about Splunk in a different way? Have you ever thought about Splunk as a way to actually save people's lives? Because that's exactly what Regeneron has done. They have taken the capabilities of Splunk and used them in unique ways where they are bringing medicines to market faster. They are changing people's lives on a daily basis. And so I'm excited for you to hear from them. And you know what? From biologics to genetic medicines, Regeneron turns cutting-edge science into transformative medicine. So tell the audience, how does Regeneron, through the access to significantly more data through the Splunk platform, actually create more value?
So Seth, one of the key factors that we use Splunk for is our primary mission of protecting our infrastructure. So the ability to prevent, detect, and respond to external adversarial cyber threats is our key mission. Yet, Keith and others in our company have been able to leverage Splunk to ingest data from multiple lines of business to include manufacturing, the labs, and other areas to be able to support our scientists, to support our manufacturing personnel, to take the data, ingest it, and be able to visualize it, to save multiple man hours, to do experiments, to produce our medicine, and bring it all together in a way that has been very beneficial to us as we globalize and expand our company.
Awesome. And, you know, the more that we hear from Regeneron, what we learned is that earlier on in their monitoring systems required the scientists to be in front of a PC connected to lab. They could only focus on one experiment at a time. They couldn't multitask, which actually really slowed down Regeneron's experiments and ultimately slowed down their ability to produce life-changing therapies. So talk to us about how your partnership with Splunk has really delivered value within your lines of business.
Yeah, sure, Seth. So we're security first. Our Splunk platform security first, but we expanded to our lines of business. We've acquired companies, but specifically the one I want to concentrate on today is how our research team, our research executives, asked our research IT team, hey, how can we track how utilized our equipment is? And the research IT team came to us as Splunk. We have a lot of data, right? Can we tell when people are logging into the PCs that are connected to the research equipment? And we had AD data, Active Directory data, and that would tell us that people logged in, but it didn't tell us whether it was a local account. So to get the local accounts, we deployed universal forwarders. And we started logging when event logs. And those when event logs gave us a whole bunch of information, including CPU and memory performance, that we then gave us the process that was actually logging the error logs or connecting into the scientific equipment. Let me just say, scientific equipment's like centrifuges and syringes, right? And vial fillers, right? And then it's logging these things. Why don't we just use the universal forwarder and pick up those logs as well? So we grabbed the logs out of it, and those logs told us a whole bunch of stories and helped us fix things. Like, hey, this thing's in error condition. Let's get it fixed, right? And the scientists, to save hours, are now on their email in the back room, not sitting in the lab watching the equipment. And so they're doing their office productivity, watching the equipment, and the equipment's running, it goes into error condition, they could get up and fix it. We went to the next level, though. We were just looking at logs, right? And we put it on. Right about that time, Dashboard Studio came out, and we were just starting to play with it. And Dashboard Studio, we put a map of the lab up, and we put stoplights, red, yellow, green, gray, black, to show the status of the equipment. And then we put it up on a monitor up on the wall. So now they don't even have to have it on their PCs. Think of that extra real estate for the scientists. And up on the wall, and they could see that lab and what they have running. But even better, we could show different floors. So we have labs in different rooms, and they can't, even if they were in one lab, they couldn't see the other lab. And now they could see the entire lab across the different rooms, all incredible. On this Health TV.
Yeah. So, and then you powered Health TV by Splunk, right?
We did.
Yeah, so you've heard it first, announced Health TV powered by Splunk. There is no streaming service, but Regeneron is always hiring, so you will get a chance to check that out. But let's talk a little bit more about security. So as you guys have talked, we know that Regeneron's foundation is technology, and that it's foundational to your security posture as well as for inventing new medicines. So maybe talk to us about where your organization experiences the most friction when it comes to data.
Yeah, thanks, Seth. So I think that where we have challenges is because the lines of business are basically running their own IT plans, right? So they have complexity of needs that not just rely on the corporate IT development, but also their own internal IT shops. So where we have a lot of friction is we have such a complexity of environment that we need Splunk more than anyone in the sense of the complexity of data that we have to ingest, right? So we have right now like 7 different scanning platforms because of the different systems that we need to scan. So the ability to ingest that data, correlate it, and see what we need to do to address our security needs is imperative. And the ability to leverage a centralized location for that has been, key to our ability to protect the environment.
That's awesome. And then you've seen some great reductions as well in EDR and efficiencies. You've
Indeed.
seen increases, right?
Yeah, Keith, talk to us about that.
Yeah, sure. So about a year and a half ago, we came across a product that Splunk offers called Ingest Processor. And we're leveraging it today to help reduce our reduction, to help us reduce data volumes. The EDR that Chris spoke about, endpoint data and response agents that sit on PCs, we've doubled our number of them. We've doubled our number of externally facing firewalls all in the past 2 years. But we've kept relatively at the same logging volume in Splunk. And how we did that is through reduction. mostly transforming our logs. So going from a JSON into a CSV has saved us, you could say, on average, 40% just doing the transformations. If you add in other things like field aliasing or reducing domain names, right, at yourcompany.com, take that out, you're saving even more, 50, 60, 70%. Some of our highest feeds were up at 90% reduction of data volume.
That's incredible. Awesome. Well, I saved the hardest question for last, but I think it's the most exciting. So you heard in G2's keynote, in Kamal's keynote, in Mangesh's keynote, we've got these incredible new technologies like Cisco Data Fabric and agentic AI experiences. And the way we're using data with Machine Data Lake and the new capabilities that that's going to bring. So as you hear these new technologies and the promise of AI, ultimately, how does that impact Regeneron?
So for us, from the cybersecurity perspective, it's huge because we're in a little bit of a wait-and-see model with regards to AI from an enterprise level. So right now, our ability to leverage our partners' innovations in AI with most of our controls, with our SIM, and that's been our biggest push in the sense of engaging with AI. So very exciting news for Splunk to come out with this new capability because it's our ability, it enables us to leverage AI, but not have to, quote unquote, do it ourselves. Right. So very excited about this, and I'm just another level of being able to leverage AI with different companies has been great for us. So we're excited.
Awesome. Keith?
Yeah, almost every talk's AI, right? But the things in Splunk that I want to hear and I want to see is I want to see Splunk in the search. I want to see Splunk AI help us with search and giving us autocorrect, giving us auto search where it helps us, takes admin and power users, SPL, and brings it to our most new users and expands their knowledge quickly. The other spot that I'd like to Splunk to focus on, and I'm starting to see it, and I'm optimistic, is telling us, hey, we got data, right? We got data, we got correlation rules, we got alerts. We're both from an IT, a security, DLP perspective, ITM perspective, digital loss prevention, and tell us, hey, we got data, we got rules, and we could do something. We could fire something with this, and we could find stuff with it to help our enterprise perform better.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you heard, and you heard it from Kamal and G2, they showed a slide that talked about Splunk being from the silicon to the agent. But what you've heard from Regeneron is something very similar, but what I would call it is from the edge to the enterprise, where they're actually using Splunk and its capabilities to change the way they're bringing life-changing therapies into the market and to change the way that people are able to get access to those therapies. And so what I hope that you get out of this interview is that Splunk is more than just logs and traces and machine data, but you can actually use it in really unique ways that can change the way you do business, can add efficiency, and can make a difference in people's lives every single day. So let's give Keith and Chris a big hand, and let's welcome back Mangesh.
Thank you to Seth, Keith, and Chris. Please give it up again for Regeneron. Now, that was a really great insight from Regeneron. You saw how they were able to kind of really get down deep to the data management and get incredible benefits. All right. Are all of you ready to unpack like what you've been hearing before at a high level? I want to really get deeper, start showing you some demos. And we're going to show you how we help unlock the true potential of AI and AI to keep up with the changing landscape that we've all been talking about. So let's get to it. Now, you saw Jeetu and Kamal frame the vision for Cisco Data Fabric, but I wanted to connect the dots to all the product capabilities we've already been building over the past couple of years. And we have been evolving to a federated data platform. Now, as you know, the federation concept starts with the distributed data management. It starts with processing very high volumes of data, whether they start on the edge or on the cloud. And this is what gives you the efficiency to keep up with that incredible amount of scale. The federation then takes the power of Splunk analytics to all that data. For example, we already have federated search with S3. Now, you heard a couple of new components. I just wanted to recap them really quickly. The first one is really the machine data lake. This is, think of that not just as a landing spot for all machine data, but a spot where we build metadata and catalogs to data that might not actually be directly into Splunk. This, in turn, acts as the foundational layer for us to train the foundational models. I think you saw a glimpse in Jeetu's keynote on the time series foundational models. Now, in the future, we'll do various flavors of these foundational models. There could be a log reasoning model. There could be other models. But the idea is that you can fine-tune these models based on your specific context. And that is what lights up really, really powerful use cases, such as agentic solutions that are tuned to your particular environment. So this is how we step through product capabilities that we already have today, that we are releasing in the next 6 months, and then learning from you to really get to the future state. Now let's talk about the big benefits. As we get there, you're going to reap these benefits on a continuous basis. You have boosted operational efficiency, as well as the ability to deal with scale just from the distributed data management. You have the ability to unpack the tremendous insights in your machine data that you already have as these solutions come to life. And then last but not least, you have the incredible power of taking Splunk analytics to all your data, right? The data does not have to reside in Splunk. And let's unpack this one by one through the way of product announcements and demos. So to start with, on the operational efficiency side, it's both efficiency and scale. And this comes from the edge processing as well as the cloud processing. And the big benefit to you is ultimately you can tier data where it belongs. If it's a low-value use case, you can tier it down to a cheap data store. If it's high value, you can index it into Splunk. You can also have a vastly reduced administrative burden. Like this takes, and you'll see a demo of that shortly. And then ultimately, the big benefit that you really care about is the lowest spend for getting the highest signal-to-noise ratio from all your data. So to see a great example of that reduced administration burden, how we are making it easy, applying AI, I'm going to ask Lizzie Lee, Principal PM at Splunk, to come to the stage and walk us through a demo. Lizzie, please come on up.
Thanks, Mangesh. So in this demo, I'm going to show you how Splunk is innovating AI-driven data management capabilities to significantly improve data monitoring and troubleshooting. So let's take a look at the demo. I'm a Splunk admin, and I'm helping my SOC team to address potential security threats from unmonitored AWS services. I'm going to use the Splunk AI Assistant to help guide data onboarding. The Splunk Assistant suggests Amazon S3 and automatically selects ingest, which I accept. It then proposes a comprehensive data onboarding plan complete with custom templates, technical add-ons, and a data pipeline for our t-shirt sorter app. It then performs data optimization by suggesting Splunk's new machine data lake as a destination and converting logs to metrics and sending those to Splunk Observability Cloud. Next, I need to configure schematization and SIM mappings. With auto schematization, instead of me manually writing regexes, the AI will write the regexes, identify SIM mappings, and show confidence levels for each. I can then review, and once I accept, data will start flowing. Fast forward a week, we get an issue from our ingest monitoring app that says that we have an AWS service sending data with missing SIM compliant fields. And this could potentially break our SOC dashboards. So digging deeper into the alert, I see that there's a dip in source field logs. Investigating a little bit further, I see that there's been a schema drift in our AWS CloudTrail authentication logs. And I can see the exact entities which were impacted by this schema drift. So the assistant will then recommend that I change the regex in my data pipeline, and as the human in the loop, I can make those changes and then click Mark as Resolved to complete it. With that, crisis averted. Back to you, Mangesh.
Thanks, Lizzie. Now, did you like that? Anybody who's been administrating Splunk data should be excited about that. Hopefully you like that. Now, this is not just about data productivity, right? It is also the ability, because you have a dropped administrative burden, you can actually keep up with a larger scale of data. So scale and productivity always go hand in hand. And this is why it's so exciting that we have a ton of innovation in this area, and I wanted to walk through some of that. You heard some of this before. The edge processor for Splunk Enterprise is already GA with Splunk 10. We have had that now for 4 weeks, and it's super exciting because now you can use SPL2-based pipelines to define your data pipelines in a standalone on-prem environment as well. And with this common data management, now you have the same experience across on-prem, connected cloud, and cloud environments. We also have self-healing data pipelines. You saw this as part of Lizzie's demo, and this is going to be alpha in April of 26. So we are already testing the working code. We want to make sure it really addresses a broad range of use cases, and we'll be releasing that soon. And then the third announcement I wanted to call attention to, this will be GA in Jan of 26, is automated field extraction for ingest processor. Now, this should be really exciting for you as well, because this goes to the heart of a very powerful capability Splunk has had for a while, which is managing fields and how to extract data, make sense of your data using regular expressions. Really, really powerful, but also very, very cumbersome. Like those of you who are hands-on with Splunk know how cumbersome it is to do a break fix on all the regular expressions. We have taken 98% of the toil out of this whole thing while preserving all the flexibility. So all of you administrators should love this one as well. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I know we have been listening, and thank you for the appreciation. Now, we have been also listening to you through a lot of Splunk ideas. There are lots more innovations coming in the productivity space. I won't go through them all. Check out some of these on our show floor, and you'll also see some of these in the innovation labs. But I did want to call attention to one particular one, Splunk 10. I mentioned this before. Splunk 10 is the biggest Splunk release for on-prem in the last couple of years. And in the last 30 days since we released it, we have seen the fastest adoption from our on-prem customers than any prior Splunk release. So thank you. I really want to say a big thank you for all you customers who have been using Splunk 10. Give everybody a hand. I also want to point out that this is the release where we have seen a more than 90% reduction in the defect rate in the first 30 days. There has been just one defect as opposed to a typical, basically seeing 10 to 12 defects that we have seen on the average in past releases. So we hope to keep that up. We are not taking that for granted, but Splunk 10 is a big, big deal. And I hope all of you upgrade to that release as soon as you can. Now, moving to the second pillar, we have been talking about unlocking the power for AI. And there are many things to unpack here. Ultimately, we are using AI in the platform, but this is all about enabling you to unlock the power for your AI-first applications. And where we want to go with this ultimately is for most of the problems, we want the AI-first solutions to get to the root cause in a zero-shot way, right? So what does that mean? That means that instead of analysts asking 20 questions and querying their way to finding a problem, really want to find problems before the symptoms surface up. And we can do that with AI, only if AI had the context and the right training data. So this is all about connecting the data across cross-domains, training the AI models, extending the ecosystem based on your particular context. If we do all those things, then you get the zero-shot root cause. So these are collective benefits. Now, we have a lot of innovation coming in this space as well. And again, I wanted to call out a few announcements. The first one is AI Toolkit, and you heard me announce that in the keynote. This is with the large language model support built in, and this is GA today, and we are moving. We also have the Splunk-hosted large language models in alpha that will be coming to a GA soon. But what you get out of the box is all the benefits of machine learning toolkit, but now you also have inbuilt LLM support for Llama models, for additional models in the future. We also have Cisco AI Canvas that is going to be alpha in January of 26. So this is the exciting live code demo you saw G2 unveil on stage yesterday. In case you missed it, please do catch a recording. This completely is going to transform the experience for how practitioners use Splunk. So as opposed to going and sifting through all the data, you kind of flip the experience on its head and go through AI-first workflows while still having all the power of SPL underneath the hood, and then with generative UI based on the workflow that a practitioner is going through. And it also is collaborative, and it has a multiplayer element. So this is very powerful. Please do check it out on the show floor in the innovation labs in case you didn't see it yesterday. And then the machine data lake, as we have been saying several times, is the foundation. It's the fuel for ultimately lighting up all the AI model training. It also allows you a turnkey way of not just landing all your raw data at a very low cost, but then normalizing that into standard formats like OCSF. So Machine Data Lake is going to be in alpha in February 26. And we also have lots more innovation coming in the AI-centric innovation value pillar. I won't have time to go through all of this, but one thing I'll point out is the Splunk MCP server is already GA. So using the AI toolkit and Splunk's MCP server, you can start experimenting with your own agentic solutions today. And we would love to learn from you, and that will help us shape our roadmap as we build products for the future. Now let's move to unified analytics. When we talk about unified analytics, the goal is not just analysis. The goal ultimately is fast decision-making and action. And fixing these ultimately fast really depends on the ability to correlate like signals from a variety of different data sources and do extremely large-scale joins of all the signals that we are getting. This is Splunk's superpower. And as we have gone and developed our federation strategy, one of the big things we are paying attention to is not only working with standard formats, but being able to correlate all the insights back at scale. And this is why it's so exciting to talk about our future direction with Spark. Now, you heard Carl Perry and I talk about standard formats and Snowflake, but if I can get this slide to move. One more. Great. Before we get to Spark, I did want to cover one really important capability that we have on our existing federated solution, which is replaying S3 data in our federation engine. What that means is that you can keep large amounts of raw data in S3, but selectively bring in a very narrow slice of data into Splunk to get indexed. Now, this is really important because instead of setting a large retention policy on any and every data, you can actually keep your raw data in S3, but then based on investigations or incidents, you can bring in a specific slice of data. This comes directly, by the way, from So many of you telling us you wanted this feature. So hopefully you really get excited by the new capability. Federated search for Snowflake, as we announced before, is going to be alpha in February of 26. And we showed some really powerful, we had a chat before with Carl and I talking about how we kind of merge operational data with business data. But to show you an example, let's see that in the form of a demo. And so I'm going to ask Lizzie to come up on stage again and show us a demo this time. Come on up, Lizzie.
All right, so in this demo, I'm going to show you how Splunk's federation capabilities allow you to join data from across multiple data stores with data in Splunk for richer insights. So let's take a look at the demo. Once again, I'm a Splunk admin at the Buttercup T-shirt company, and we're running our biggest online sale ever. We expect record-breaking revenue, but I just got paged about a spike in checkout errors. So I'm going to use the Splunk AI Assistant again, but this time to pull up relevant dashboards. Right away, I spot an uptick in API gateway timeout errors tied to the payment service. I suspect Web Application Firewall is blocking valid requests, so I'm going to ask the assistant for those dashboards too. Looking at this dashboard, I can confirm the issue. There is a sudden spike in WAF blocks that aligns with the spike in API errors. Splunk's federation capabilities allowed me to retrieve these WAF logs stored in Amazon S3 without having to move or ingest them into Splunk first, giving me real-time visibility across my security and infrastructure layers. It turns out there was a newly enabled WAF rule that was misconfigured, blocking legitimate traffic to the checkout endpoint, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that to restore normal operations. Next, I need to quantify the revenue impact of this downtime. We have the data, but it's siloed in different systems. The business data is in Snowflake, and the operational data is in Splunk. But not for long. Soon, with Snowflake as Splunk's federated data source, I'll be able to join the business data that's in Snowflake with the machine data in Splunk, going beyond real-time operational visibility to unlock true business impact. Splunk's new modules app powered by SPL2 allows me to build custom templates like this one to join my Snowflake and Splunk data together. This template contains 3 searches. The first fetches federated Snowflake e-commerce data. The second filters for errors on Kubernetes API payment gateway logs. And the third chains off of the first to join the 2 data sets together. Each event has a checkout ID and a customer ID, and I can join those 2 attributes together to pull the cart value and customer segment for each failure. I can then run a query to segment it by customer tier. Now let's visualize all of this together in a dashboard. Here we can see we've lost $168,000 in revenue in just 1 hour, 42% from our VIP customer segment. That's a valuable insight that my exec team can act on. The marketing team can now trigger a targeted promotion for the affected customer segment, helping to recover revenue and rebuild trust after this service disruption. And I can get back to work in making sure incidents like this don't happen again. Back to you, Mangesh.
Thanks, Lizzie. Thanks. That was a great demo with Snowflake. Now, you know, in my excitement when I was talking about the middle pillar with building value for AI, I spoke my way through it, and I skipped a demo that I was supposed to show. So we are going to just rewind and actually roll the demo this time. This is a demo of using Splunk's MCP server to build your own AI agentic solutions. So check it out in the video. Let's roll the video.
During a major sales event at Buttercup T-shirt company, any downtime can lead to significant revenue losses. Splunk AI Toolkit's automated anomaly detection identifies latency spikes in the checkout service. With retrieval augmented generation or RAG-powered business context, AI Toolkit validates that the alert is a real risk and provides business impact analysis. The company's DevOps team has proactively built an SRE agent for this very scenario. Splunk's Model Context Protocol Server and AI Toolkit seamlessly integrate with leading ecosystem tools, LLMs, and agent-building platforms to accelerate agent development. The SRE agent responds immediately to the alert, using Splunk MCP Enterprise tool integrations to locate all relevant playbooks in Confluence and build workflows on the fly. The agent doesn't require exact playbooks, but can fill in the gaps using rich historical data and context from Cisco Data Fabric and AI skills from Splunk MCP Server, such as prompt packs and accurate SPL generation to reason and investigate issues in Splunk. The agent performs tasks just like a human expert, using AI skills from Splunk MCP Server to identify the right data sources, generate SPL from natural language, akin to Splunk AI assistants, optimize and execute searches with contextual intelligence, and summarize key insights. Throughout, Splunk MCP Server enforces governance and access controls to ensure compliance. Cisco's Data Fabric enables intelligent correlation, allowing the agent to quickly identify a key issue, failures in the metadata cache that were not seen in previous logs. The SRE agent checks the change management system and finds a recent update to the metadata cache, reducing root cause analysis time to mere minutes. The SRE agent generates an investigation report and recommends rolling back the metadata cache change. Following DevOps guardrails, the agent requests rollback authorization from a human expert who reviews the summary and approves the mitigation. But there's more. The agent uses Splunk's MCP and AI toolkit to verify that checkout service latency is trending back to a normal range and confirms the latency spikes have disappeared. You saw how the SRE agent was able to leverage the intelligence and historical data from Cisco Data Fabric, organizational context and anomaly detection from AI Toolkit plus RAG, and AI skills and ecosystem tool integrations via Splunk MCP to resolve the issue before it impacted the business.
Awesome. So that would have been a bad miss on my part if you didn't see the video. I'm glad we rolled it back. Thank you. So as you saw, like, you can bring together agentic solutions, and there's a lot more coming. We covered, I think we covered this, the unified analytics area, and the one thing I did want to call out is, other than the announcements I already did, there's also SPL2, which continues to be a big announcement, a big investment, and SPL2 for on-prem customers as well as for cloud customers. That is increasingly going to be a strategic bet, because SPL2 bridges the world between Splunk processing language, which we always want to keep evolving, and for you to be able to do SQL-style analytics with structured data. So it's really an important, and please check out some of the SPL2 demos we have both on the show floor as well as in the innovation lab. All right, so we covered the 3 value pillars. Like, we talked about the data management, showed you a demo on MCP server and using the AI toolkit, and we saw the federated search, federated analytics direction. But before we go anywhere, I actually have one more value pillar, and you're going to really like this one. We have been listening to all we have heard from you on value realization. The real feature and function of Splunk really comes together eventually depending on how you're getting a return of investment and how you're spending your money with us. And we have heard a lot of feedback that you want simplified pricing and packaging. You've said that you want to really understand where you're consuming Splunk and are you getting the best value out of it. And we have also heard you say that give us recommended best practices. How do we fine-tune our practices, use the best-in-breed solutions, and get the most return on investment? And we have been listening on all these fronts, and I want to show you a quick sneak peek at all the things we are building to address what we have heard from you. Let's roll the video.
In the agentic era, there's no time to stumble. You need flexibility to pivot and scale swiftly and securely. Splunk can help you get there. We're expanding with multi-presence. Wherever your data is, whatever your architecture, search and analyze with the latest AI. And unlock new use cases with Federation. Control spend with Cloud Flex and Portfolio Manager, and adapt to your business needs, from spikes in demand to global expansion. Your ROI is crystal clear with value insights. No guesswork, just proof. Grow, pivot, scale without limits. Welcome to What's Next.
All right, so that went by quite fast. So I wanted to call out like all the new capabilities we are delivering, and all this is coming really, really soon. That's going to help you unlock the best value from Splunk. The Portfolio Manager is going to be beta in October of 28, just next month. And this is the dashboard. Think of this as a dashboard that tries consumption to all your use cases and what is driving your system consumption. Cloud Flex is something we already have been piloting with many of you customers, and this is now going towards general availability. We call it controlled availability. It's the same status as general availability. We just like to qualify like what you want to be doing with Cloud Flex. But what you can do is control your spending and spread it across the parts of the entire Splunk portfolio. Whether you're investing in the platform pieces or the observability pieces, you shouldn't really have to treat these as different products and different solutions. So we are giving you one way of flexibly controlling your spending across the whole portfolio. This is something we have heard from a lot of you customers and are getting really positive feedback from the ones who are using it. And the third announcement in this area, Value Insights. This is where all the value realization comes together in one place. This will be beta in October of 25. And this is going to give you prescriptive recommendations on how best to optimize your goals, manage your scaling of your system, and then whether you want to need to change practices to unlock a better return on investment. And we haven't forgotten about many of you sector-specific customers who have been asking for particular enhancements in your area. So, and as an example, a lot of you customers care about high compliance standards as well as high security certifications. And it's really exciting that we have reached 140-3 FIPS compliance for public sector as well as some of the other security-conscious customers. So this was a big deal because it had a lot of dependencies on TLS 1.2, OpenSSL 1.3, also moving to the latest version of Python. And we've actually managed to solve all those dependencies. So you will see all this in Splunk 10. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Really excited about that. We are also continuing to expand globally to meet all you customers where you are with your demands. So we continue to open up new regions in AWS, GCP, and Azure. You see some of the dates there on particular regions. Now, with the data fabric, we are driving a lot of value for Splunk customers. But we are also working with a lot of Cisco product lines to integrate Splunk as a platform that runs across Cisco product lines. This is truly exciting because we can bring together a better together story with Cisco products, with connected solutions. And to see a great example of that, I want to invite Dan Wembland, CEO and co-founder of Isovalent, to show how we are working together with Isovalent. Please come on up, Dan.
Good to see you.
Dan, welcome to your first conf.
Thank you.
Any first impressions? You haven't been at conf before,
That's
have
true.
you?
Lots of first impressions, some of which I was prepared for, right? I knew that the Splunkers take their T-shirts very, very seriously, which is why I and my team put together an eBPF Love Splunk T-shirt.
I love that. You already have eBPF and Splunk.
Yeah, the two things I learned, though, right? First off, I learned the only acceptable colors for a .conf T-shirt, white on black. So next time we'll fix that.
Yes, we'll be on brand.
Second thing is I really want Kamal to wear one, right? But based on the keynote this morning, I'm thinking more like eBPF Love Splunk's pajamas, right? So
those are superpower pajamas, remember. No, that's awesome. So, Dan, you have eBPF on your T-shirt, right? eBPF actually is a revolutionary technology. Tell us a little bit about eBPF.
Sure. I like to think about eBPF as kind of superpowers for Linux networking, security, observability. Right? eBPF was co-created by Isovalent and kernel engineers at Facebook. It's been in every Linux kernel release in the last 10 years. So that means probably the vast majority of the workloads in your company have eBPF running underneath. Right? Why is eBPF interesting? It kind of lets us teach an old dog new tricks. Believe it or not, Linux was started back in 1991.
Yeah.
So like, maybe a lot of us, it grew up a lot in the 90s, maybe a little bit in the early 2000s, but it hasn't changed that much in the last 20 years, right? And so it's 2025. We're no longer managing individual Linux boxes or desktops manually, right? We're managing fleets of servers, Kubernetes clusters, managing containers, AI workloads getting scheduled everywhere. But the technologies we have to, connect, secure, and observe those workloads are still those old legacy Linux technologies. eBPF lets us change all of that, drive a lot of innovation in the Linux kernel. And because it operates at the operating system level, you don't have to change your applications at all to get to the advantages of the security and observability from eBPF. And the second thing that's really important about eBPF is safety. eBPF code is verified, so it can never crash or hang your kernel. And that combination of rapid innovation with safety is why we see eBPF as the most consequential thing to happen in Linux in a decade or more.
Yeah, that's fantastic technology, being able to operate at that kernel level. And you touched on this a little bit, Dan, already. How did you navigate the path from really addressing security and observability type use cases? You started with a couple of open source projects.
Yep.
Per my
yeah,
understanding.
so Isovalent was best known for 2 open source projects, Cilium and Tetragon. And really, we focused on the Kubernetes ecosystem, right, which is where you started to see the scale and the dynamism of workloads that really stressed those legacy Linux constructs, right? So Cilium was eBPF-powered networking, security, and observability, right? Cilium, quickly became the de facto standard for Kubernetes networking and security because of what eBPF let us do, right? It was more efficient, it was more scalable, it gave us more powerful security filtering, and it also allowed us to build observability in as a first-class citizen, right? Because when you have these complex environments, observability is really critical. So it was adopted by all the 3 major cloud providers, became a graduated CNCF project, and then we had customers ask us to build Tetragon, right, which extends Cilium and really gives us visibility into the workload itself. We're able to see what processes are running, what files are accessed, all of that. So really a comprehensive visibility between and control between Cilium and Tetragon.
No, that was really helpful. And Dan, I can see really the connecting the dots, right? We saw Tom Gillis's his vision on the future of really kind of keeping up with that extremely high scale at a node, like splitting security into literally a completely fragmented picture, where now you can go deep down at a node level. And I can see how really getting not just the visibility, but the action at that scale really helps. Now, you have a good analogy for this, right? I'm not going to steal your analogy, but talk the crowd.
So it's interesting, and it's kind of funny because even our first customers as Isovalent were naturally using Isovalent and Splunk together. Yep. So it was kind of one of those things. This isn't because we're part of Cisco, we're doing this, right? There's a very natural kind of better together there. And the analogy I like to use is really, you can think about Isovalent by eBPF being the eyes and the hands. Eyes, it can see and observe all of these things. Hands, it can go enforce. It can stop a process from executing. It can drop a packet, etc. But, right, what's that nervous system? What's that brain, right, that takes the data from the eyes and decides how to act? That's really how I see Splunk and the Cisco data fabric, right? A simple example of this might be, we take a couple security events, Splunk correlates them, decides it's an indicator of compromise, and goes and isolates the workload using eBPF. But that's really just the start. I think if you take this eyes, hands, brain analogy really further, you can imagine all kinds of things, right? The brain sees something that looks a little suspicious over there, and what does your body do? It focuses in on that, right? Splunk might go suddenly collect a lot more telemetry from a workload where it saw something maybe not, maybe suspicious, right? Just in case it needs that for an incident investigation, right? Or maybe Splunk has learned that this workload is vulnerable to a CVE, right? We might go out and push out an eBPF-powered compensating control, kind of reaching our hands out and protecting that workload. So that combination, all working as one system, is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I love that analogy, Dan. It's this distributed intelligent system. It's almost like an octopus brain, except that it's not just 8 tentacles, right? Yeah. It can really, and what's really new here
Maybe that's our new T-shirt.
Yes, there's your next T-shirt. That's great. Awesome. So, going ahead, we saw a security use case in the previous keynote. I know you're also working with the observability team. Ultimately, do you see this as a platform concept?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's really cool now that we are both part of Cisco is this ability to take things that our customers were doing in kind of a manual and ad hoc way and make them out-of-the-box, simplified workflows, and then really scalable with things like Edge Processor, right? And that comes down to kind of solving two types of key use cases. First, for security operations who are using Splunk as a SIEM, we can use that visibility for threat detections, incident investigations, compliance monitoring. And then as we talked about, we can take that visibility data and start having it inform what we do from a workload protection and network segmentation perspective. But that same telemetry data, right, about what processes are executing, what connections have happened, have there been TCP drops, et cetera, right, also helps us monitor the health of an application and its connectivity, right? We can do layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, even layer 7 metrics, traces, et cetera, to monitor the health of an app, and then also help troubleshoot the app. I always like to refer to it as the finger-pointing problem, right? The app team always thinks the problem is the network team thinks it's the app, right? How do you get great data, right, to solve those problems quickly?
That's fantastic. Really, the possibilities here are really, really exciting. And Dan's going to be unpacking some of the very security-specific use cases in the next keynote in the security section as well.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll see some of you there. I'd also encourage you to check out, we've got a booth showing some of this stuff at the One Cisco section and the Innovation Lab. Just look for the folks wearing this T-shirt.
Awesome. Hey, great to be here with you, Dan.
Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Right. Dan Van Blant. All right, we covered a ton of innovation and announcements today, and I know it's a lot to absorb. I wanted to leave you with some tips for navigating the rest of Conf as you go. There's more than 80 breakout sessions and theater sessions on the platform track where you can drill deep into a lot of what you heard here, and you can piece together some of the details. We also have Splunk 10 that you can see on the show floor. We have some of the forward-looking announcements that I made. They are in the Innovation Lab. So plenty of ways to get your feedback, for you to learn more. Please stay connected with us, and would love to get feedback from you. Thank you.